Hello everybody, Caleb the Gamer back here again today, and it's time to discuss Chapter 2 of both Poppy Playtime and Garten of BanBan, and definitively decide which game is better. We will be doing a deep dive into Chapter 2 of each game, and see what each game did right, and what each game did wrong, and see more importantly, how they improved from their Chapter 1 counterparts, or maybe in some cases stayed stagnant or even got worse. Now, before we jump in, I do want to say thank you guys so much for all the support on these past few videos. You guys are awesome. I cannot believe all the support I've gotten in these last few videos. Truthfully, it means the world to me. And if you guys have not already subscribed, make sure to go hit that subscribe button and turn on those bell notifications because we have a lot more games to play and discussions to have. So if you want to be here for all of it, hit that subscribe button. Now, let's dive in. So last we left off, we went over Chapter 1 of each game and decided that Poppy Playtime had the edge, but each game had the potential to take over, and it was honestly anybody's game to win for who has the better game overall. And boy, oh boy, am I excited to discuss these chapters, because these two chapters are significantly longer than their first chapter of their games. So, to make things simpler, I'm going to go over the base, or the story of how each game flows from start to finish, and then after that, I will discuss how each game did, and go over what went right and what went wrong. So, just like last time, let's start with Garten of BanBan. Chapter 2 of Garten of BanBan picks up right where Chapter 1 left off, except it looks like Jumbo Josh's plan of pulling us down with him does not seem to work, as he is flattened by the lift. So, he's done for now. We then leave and are introduced to the three rooms of the platform that we can control. And the first room we want to go into is the room on the right, and we are introduced to the office sector of BanBan's kindergarten. A voice immediately begins talking to you and begins to guide you, instructing you to collect the key cards. You also get to recollect your drone and do your first puzzle of the game, where you push buttons on the desk to open the maintenance room doors, and you go through the maintenance room doors to do your first drone puzzle. Collect the blue key card, and you then have your first chasing, where a blue spider chases you through the corridor, and you escape before it can drop on you and get you. You then go back, get distracted, and get knocked out by BanBan, who also was the man over the intercom. You are kidnapped and taken to a dark area, and after doing another drone puzzle, with yellow stained glass playing a factor in this one, and taking a lift down, you are seeing that monsters have been tampered with and have had surgery done on them, as somebody's been trying to collect their blood. So what do we decide to do? We decide to also join in on this monster manslaughter and take the blood to fill a container and open another door to collect a key card. You escape back to the main area, where you then are seeing Jumbo Josh is not there anymore. So, where is he? Well, we'll find that out here soon. You're also greeted by a monster that has risen from the abyss that does absolutely nothing. He's just there because why not? So let's just have a giant monster in the middle of everything for no reason practically. You then do have a few more drone puzzles, and after a quick scare from a Pila bird, you are helped by BanBalina and begin the classroom section, where you have to answer questions and do little minigames. Each minigame in between, you do 3 total sections of this before you eventually are able to escape from BanBalina by using your drone to open a door when she is distracted by some sort of noise. You go and collect baby Opila birds and go to escape, to only be greeted by the mama Opila bird, who begins to chase you before she realizes her babies are in the nest and goes to go with her babies. You then go into the hallway and are greeted by Slow Celine, who can only see you if you're moving, and if you move, she will immediately get you. But you do it correctly, you go through the orange door, and you do the cannon minigame, which was the most frustrating minigame. And yeah, I'm starting to get annoyed because this is very, very stagnant of a game. Because right after you do the cannon, you are greeted by a very unnecessary parkour area that just seems to drag on the game before you are finally reunited with BanBan, who comes to talk to you and tells you that he's also looking for the children. So hallelujah, the children are finally mentioned again, and it only took all of Chapter 1 and almost a majority of Chapter 2 to finally mention them. though he immediately shouts out that, hey, people are about to start coming through doors, so we better figure out what we're going to do and figure it out quick. A chase sequence begins where Jumbo Josh tries to grab you, while Banbaleena, who's not too happy that you skipped on her class, begins to chase you. After going through multiple areas and dodging Jumbo Josh and escaping Banbaleena, you then press a couple key cards and wait for Banbaleena where she steps on the X, and X marks the spots as Jumbo Josh crushes Banbaleena, and you're able to escape, where you use the key card that Banbaleena dropped to go down a lift, and you officially finish Chapter 2. Now, while this chapter is technically longer than Chapter 1, I did not enjoy it more than Chapter 1. Let's start off. First off, the puzzles in this chapter were very tedious, misplaced, and a majority of the time they felt more like filler and were just there to make the game last longer than actually being fun and engaging, or at times just being like scary. The only minigame I seemed to enjoy was the Slow Celine minigame, and that's about it. And also the spider chase, which was a little interesting. But the Banbaleena minigame went on for way too long. We were in the classroom. The biggest downside of that was if you got one answer wrong and got jump scared by Banbaleena, you had to start that whole entire section over again, depending on where you were in that classroom area, and it just dragged on everything. It was not engaging, and if you go and watch my video, you can just tell I was getting annoyed by playing that section. Now, let's talk about the gimmick of this game, the drone. They did not improve it. It's pretty much the same exact drone we got in Chapter 1. The only difference is they added the ability to customize it. That's it. The drone puzzles are exactly the same, except there's a couple more yellow stained glass puzzles than the last one, so there you go. And there's just more buttons to push. It's not interesting. It doesn't engage you and makes you feel in depth. Also, yet again, the lore of this game just is not explored at all, it seems like. And if you want to explore it, you have to go back and replay certain parts of the game to find things. And it's just not fun enough to go replay back. There's no replayability to this game almost because it's not even a fun game to begin with. Now, another big thing that was not fun was the voice acting. Now, voice acting, if you're gonna use it in a puzzle or horror minigame, or a game in general, you want it to be engaging and hook the audience to come and play and get interested in the characters. And BanBan, who is the main antagonist through this game, has a very lame and mundane and just very boring voice. And he's supposed to be the main bad guy. It's literally Garten of BanBan, and he's just not interesting at all. There is no threat from BanBan anytime he shows up, and you never are nervous for what he's going to do next. The other main voice actor, that being Banbaleena, while her voice was better and honestly showed some effort at times, it was just the fact that the classroom section was just so annoying that you get tired of having to deal with Banbaleena's voice. And it's just the most frustrating thing, that classroom level, so I'm going to take my decision and not talk about it anymore. This game doesn't do a lot right. What it does do right, though, is a couple of the chase scenes. Like I mentioned, the slow Celine chase scene, which was interesting because it's actually a little engaging because there is a threat right in front of you. If you make one wrong move, you get caught. The spider section is also an intense one as the music starts coming in, and it really gets your blood flowing because you immediately don't know the spider's just chasing on the roof, and make one wrong move and you're done. So I do like those chase scenes, but a majority of this game, just I was waiting for it to be over. While I was playing it, I ended up just talking more about how I looked forward to playing Poppy Playtime and comparing these two games than I was actually involved in the game. So anything this game could have done better to capitalize or just improve the ability of this game, it just doesn't do it at all. So, in my opinion, Chapter 2 of Garten of BanBan is a colossal failure, and it doesn't hook me or keep me interested to get ready for a Chapter 3. So, Garten of BanBan gets a very bad score here. It's a very bland, uninteresting game that just extends the runtime with extremely boring puzzles. So, if Garten of BanBan was like this, that didn't capitalize on anything, what does that mean for Poppy Playtime Chapter 2? Will it fall to the same fate, or will it be better than its first chapter and officially take the crown that it already had after Chapter 1 as the better game? Well, that is until inevitably Chapter 3 gets released for both games, and we will do another video on this. But you know what? Let's not worry about that yet, and let's discuss Poppy Chapter 2. So, Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 starts off with another VHS tape of an old commercial of Mommy Longlegs, and officially introduces us to our new main villain of the chapter. You are then right back where you left off in Chapter 1, and you go through a couple doors, and are officially back in the factory, and you are shown the office of Elliot Ludwig. But first, you have to get the key, and you are shown the first of two new main mechanics of the grab pack, which is this game's main gimmick. The first new mechanic, that being the ability to swing over large gaps, and you get a little test run before things get more difficult later on. You swing over the gap, getting the key, and going through Elliot's office. You have to go through a vent to power to the factory and start accessing certain doors, where you are also introduced to Miss Poppy Playtime herself, and she seems to be on the path of helping us escape, as she is very big on us getting to the train and getting out of there as soon as possible, because evil is lurking. And she's not wrong, as after you're going through the doors and swing over another abyss, and Poppy is about to start telling you, hey, we need to go this way so we can get to the train, she is taken by Mommy Longlegs. And boy, oh boy, does Mommy Longlegs immediately make her presence known, because after you chase down Poppy, Mommy Longlegs steals your red hands and tells you you're gonna have to complete some mini games to get that train code. And if you don't complete them, well, things aren't gonna be well for you at the end of the day, because Mommy does not like when you break her rules. Now, to get things moving quicker, let's quickly move through the main part of this game. You play 3 minigames: Musical Memory, Whack-A-Wuggy, and Statues. Musical Memory, you're basically going through, and it's a bigger version of Simon Says, but the twist is you mess up, and the rabbit above you starts going faster. If he reaches you, he will destroy you. And it's very intimidating, as when he goes down, he gets louder and louder, and you can hear him getting closer and closer. Whack-A-Wuggy is not fun at all. You're introduced to a dark room where you can hear Huggy Wuggies climbing through areas and getting closer to you, and you have to literally whack-a-mole style whack them back into their hole, and if they get too close, they'll pounce and get you as well. And the final minigame is Statues. We're introduced to the new PJ Pugapillar, where it's like a red light, green light type of game. When the lights are off, you can move. When the lights turn on, though, you better stop moving, and if you don't stop moving, then PJ is gonna get you, and PJ got me a lot. Now, in between each minigame, you do puzzles to acquire something or continue to move on through the factory. Before Musical Memory, you get a new green hand that has the ability to carry electricity temporarily, which is a fun mechanic that I really enjoyed having. After Whack-A-Wuggy, you are taken down to a below area where you meet Kissy Missy, get a little bit of information, little hint to PJ Pugapillar, if you will, and go through an underground section, and you meet good old Barry, who helps you escape that area, before you officially go through Statues, where after Statues, the real fun begins, as you use a window to escape Mommy, as you know she's rigged the game for you to get taken out by PJ Pugapillar. And Mommy is not happy, because you broke her rules, even though she technically broke the rules first, but we won't talk about that because it's Mommy's rules and that's what matters. So, after going through a couple vents and doing another electricity puzzle, you are taken down another level after the vent seems to fail on you, and as you're about to pull yourself back up, Mommy drops down on you, and boy oh boy, she is not happy. She then decides, you know what, you broke my rules, so I'm going to surprise you with the game. We're going to play some hide and seek. And boy, is this section menacing. This begins the main chase sequence of this game, where you have to run and hide. In this area, you do 2 separate mini games or puzzles so you can escape. The first puzzle, you have to use the pull-up mechanic to look up and look around and decide which levers need to be pulled in which order to open the first door. And in the second part, you have to use a furnace and some electricity as well to make a gear and use that gear to open the second door. Each time you open those two doors, though, you are greeted by a little chase scene from Mommy where she chases you and you have to hide. For the first one, you use the pull-up mechanic and hide up where you went when you had to find out which levers you need to pull in which order. And then for the furnace area, you literally have to go hide in the back of the furnace and close both doors so Mommy does not get you. So, those are both fun. After you seem like you've escaped Mommy, you haven't, because she begins the final chase. And after running through a few sewers, swinging over a couple of gaps, and getting through everything, you are then taken back to the factory, and you think you've escaped Mommy. You start to open a door, but then again, you hear the back door open, and you hear Mommy on the chase. You get through the door, and at the last second, Mommy is about to grab you, but she gets stuck in the gears. You pull the lever, and Mommy meets her demise as she screams, "You make me fun of you!" That hymn seems to be Experiment 1006, as the giant metal hand we've been teased to many times grabs the head and torso of Mommy Longlegs, dragging it away and making you wonder what's going to happen next. You free Poppy, acquire the final piece of the train code, and it looks like you'll escape. You won't have to worry about what happens, except Poppy decides that you're the perfect person to come and help fix the wrongs of the factory. And Poppy wants you to help clean up the mess, so she decides to detour the area and take us back through to start cleaning up everything. But before she can finish, she is seemingly interrupted, and the train is going haywire. You then have to slow and stop the train, and because it's going too fast and you're trying to stop it too quickly, it crashes. And before everything fades to black officially, we get a quick view of a sign that says Play Care, teasing what is to come for Chapter 3. Now, Chapter 2 of Poppy Playtime really did impress me. For what it did right, it first on improved on the grab pack mechanic, adding the two new big twists of the ability to swing and the new green hand, which can carry electricity. The minigames for the main chunk of the game are fun, keeping you entertained while also inducing panic and getting that adrenaline rushing and keeping you engaged in the game and not just being boring, just repeats. Each game is unique and each game is fun in its own way, and while they're challenging, they're not impossible, and that's what I like. Each time you play a new minigame, the challenge increases a little bit and it gets a little bit harder. And I like the fact that if you make one wrong move, you are going to pay for that one wrong move. Now, I'm still not a huge fan of the electricity puzzles. However, the addition of the green hand did make them a lot more enjoyable, and I'm excited to see how they can improve the grab pack, because they have already shown now that they can improve it, unlike how Garten of BanBan just never seemed to improve on the drone. So, I enjoyed it. Now, while Poppy had a ton of minigames too, sprinkled in between, they actually had an ebb and flow and a reason to be put in the game, because you needed to complete those puzzles to get the train code to escape, or to acquire new things so you could do certain puzzles, or get new pieces of lore into the game so you learn new things, which the lore is getting more and more interesting, and I will be doing a lore dive over Poppy Playtime here sooner rather than later. And it's completely different than Garten of BanBan, which at times just seems to extend the game with filler. And the mini games just feel like filler, and it doesn't feel like they're making a cohesive game. They're just sprinkling in this and that randomly to just extend the playtime of the game, instead of just telling a good story and having interesting mini games. So, it's just a completely different thing. The only minigame that kind of turned me away from Poppy Playtime was the final minigame before the mommy chase scene, where you have to control panels to go to one room and collect a toy, then go through another room and you have to set that toy in there, kind of like how you had to do to escape and start the Huggy Wuggy chase scene. It's not that interesting, and I wish it was just a continuation, because it kind of just slows the game down and kind of just is a weird breaking point. I don't know why they added it. I guess maybe to kind of bring adrenaline down before the crazy chasing. But besides that, Poppy Playtime did exactly what it needed to do. So, who's the winner? After going through and playing both games, reviewing them, and going over what I liked and what I didn't like, what each game improved upon, each game did not improve upon, and seeing how everything went, I know who my winner is, for right now at least. And the winner is, drumroll please, Poppy Playtime. And honestly, guys, if you haven't gotten the hit yet, it's not even close. Poppy Playtime is just simply more fun and engaging, and they keep improving, where I felt like Garten of BanBan stayed stagnant and didn't improve, and at some places just got worse from Chapter 1 to Chapter 2. So, after 2 chapters, Poppy Playtime is the better game. Now, I know both games have their Chapter 3s being worked on right now, so knowing my luck, both of them are just going to magically release trailers or just straight up release the new chapters in the next week, which would mean that we would do another video, but you know what? We'll enjoy it. We'll have some fun with it, and we'll continue to do these discussions because honestly, I enjoy making them. So, if you haven't played either game yet, I would suggest to play Poppy Playtime first, but if you do want to see Garten of BanBan and experience for yourself, also go and try it out because we will be discussing the Chapter 3s, and I will be going into some of the lore and trying to put some pieces together so we can try to solve this mystery of each game with what little lore Garten of BanBan does. We'll still try to solve it and everything. So, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, discussions, and want to see some lore videos over everything, because I do have more videos like these coming up in the near future and in the works right now, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those bell notifications because we got a lot of more stuff to go over. But until then, enjoy your weekend, you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!